start off talking about the film. So I'll talk about a different film.
You want to talk about a different film?
Yeah, because this. Oh, you already recorded. Wait.
Don't worry about that. Like,
Ben's not even here yet.
I started recording just because I know tonight I'm liable to forget to start recording, so don't like feel bound by it.
I'm just waiting for something in your background to like just move, like just on its own. Just like,
Don't say that, man. I'm already wary of like screens, and I'm looking at two of them.
Fair enough. What was it? I think about that was it. Just talking about the creator. Just to say again, yeah, me and Camilla thought it was really good. Again, it was had a great time. Sad movie. Had us crying.
You cried?
Yeah, properly crying. Both of us. Yeah, properly crying.
I had it in my mind that you went to see it last week for some reason.
When did we see it? We saw it. This was it. We saw it on Sunday.
Oh, okay, right.
Almost last week.
Yeah.
The last work week, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's a decent film. Like it's I really liked how they made all of the AI feel like humans. So like if you look in like the background, there's one who's just sort of like going to some kind of temple and like they're just like getting along with their day. And I thought it's such an effective thing because like it partly makes it feel so creepy, but then also because they're trying to like get you to build empathy with the AI. I thought that was such a good way to do it.
Yeah. It was great.
I'm here.
Hey dear.
Yo.
Hello.
My dudes.
Hello. Are we waiting on anyone else?
No, Simon's being a grill master of some description tonight.
Oh yeah. Am I hearing rain in the background?
I did hear.
I think it is raining there.
Yeah, whose mic is that?
No, it stopped raining here, so it's not me.
Let me mute.
Oh, it's Emmanuel. Yeah, it's definitely Emmanuel.
Oh, now it stops.
Oh wait, no, it's
now
not.
I can't hear it. No, but when I muted myself, I couldn't hear it anymore. And now unmuted it, I can't hear it. So maybe
whatever you did, you turned off the noise. Maybe you had noise reduction or something.
I do have that on.
I think it might have been me.
Oh.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Hello.
Yeah,
we can hear you fine.
Before we get started, then I just want to say thank you to Ben for the birthday present.
Oh yes.
If you bring me. Wait, what's it say?
It's bringing me.
My feet are too fucked up, but it says if you can read this, bring me a Stella Artois.
Oh, that's great.
You're welcome, Alec. You're welcome.
Grazie.
Happy birthday to all.
Happy birthday to all of us.
Yes.
Right. Try and get my headphones to work. Due secondo.
I heard it then.
Whatever. Right. Ben, why did you do this to me?
Because it could.
Agreed.
Great.
Not
Thanks for the call,
according to
guys.
Alex.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
See ya.
your
Bye.
film
Alex
is.
doesn't agree.
Yeah, shall I begin?
There you go for it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Poltergeist is one of my all-time favorites. I've always been a big fan of it, and even long before I knew more about the making of it, it's one of those classic. So, well, I suppose it's not really a proper horror movie, but it isn't and it isn't. But I can see the arguments for and against it. But I think that's why I love it, because it falls in the remit of a film like something like Gremlins as well. It's not quite a horror, but it has all these elements that makes it one as well. But it was of that time period that Spielberg was just like putting his hand in all these amazing projects and bringing them to life. And this is like one of the quintessential examples of that wasn't directed by him. But yeah, it's
Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly. But
It very fucking was.
it has everything I love about it. It's just got great characters, a great thrilling, engrossing story that it with incredible visual effects that still stand up for the most part. And yeah, you could argue they did stub that Toby on the last act. You get my meaning?
Oh man.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
But overall, I think it's just like a wonderful example of a film, especially a horror film like this that is a quote unquote horror film. I think the most effective ones are the ones that have like characters you are interested in. You kind of like get their motives and you understand why they do what they do, and you kind of are following them because you relate to them, and you can imagine them in real life, and it's all just convincing, and the dynamics play for the most part very well, and it's just not one of those things that kind of like it's one of those things that, and it's hard for me to explain. It's like the it's harder for a film to be as natural as it is quite an art to make something seem like this is just a real family living in the suburbs of America. It's not as easy as it looks, and I feel like Spielberg wrote the script so well that he at that point this was his like bread and butter. He was a master at this sort of stuff, just like suburbia and dynamics of a family that have their flaws. They end up a bit dysfunctional, but overall they all love each other, and it's just a perfect representation of that. And that's why I think these films stand up to test time, because everyone has a family and a group of friends that you just love and will do anything for, despite the flaws. They'll always be there for each other, and they'll do whatever it takes to make sure they're okay. Yeah, so there's plenty to talk about this film, and I think you could argue that the making of is probably just as interesting as the film itself.
I am intrigued to hear about this. It tells me it's very interesting.
It is very interesting. Me and Rob will go into it in detail, but yeah, I think I will confess I haven't seen the sequels. I don't know if they're any good or not. It's one of those things that they've never been on TV, they've never been available, and I've never bothered to check them out, so I don't know if they're any good. But I think this is a standalone film, at least, just works for me. So yeah, over to you guys.
I will say that the sequels do little more than exacerbate Alex's issues with this one. Like this.
I would have guessed.
I'd also... Oh shit, Rob, your DVD just moved.
Get out.
Another good film.
Yeah, this is a weird one for me, because like this was always like a bit of a cult film in my house growing up, because I think my mum must have like seen an advert for it or something, and she was always like really scared of like even mentioning it. And I don't know when I first would have watched it. Probably when we were in secondary school, like probably towards the end of it when I was watching like Evil Dead and all of that kind of thing. But what you said about the family dynamic, like that's exactly what I love about it. I think because Steven Spielberg is like so good at just creating like families that feel real, and especially kids who feel real. And I think this is just like this is one of his best films for that. I think. I mean, if you chop off like the last bit, maybe. but, but yeah, like just the whole like family dynamic, I think is great, and I love like the whole kind of like American suburbia thing. Like I think I've spoken about it before, but I think it's that thing where you kind of grow up watching things from America, and there's something about America that just feels kind of special. And this is exactly that kind of thing where you just like the roads are kind of like ours, but they're not like ours, and like the houses are a little bit different, and like there's all these little things, and yeah, just like it's just such a cool atmosphere. I think like the scene where they've got the builders around and they're like taking stuff out of the kitchen and all of that kind of stuff. Like it's such like an inconsequential thing, but like there's something about that where I don't know. It just make it, I just get a really cool feeling from it, and I think this is one of those films where it's just nice to like sort of sit and hang out with it almost. But I think because all of that stuff is so effective for me is why I find it scary as well. And like I completely agree with what Pat was saying in the week about how it's like quite tame and like all that kind of stuff, but there is something about it where like when I go to bed afterwards I am thinking shit, there's a TV in this room. Yes. But yeah, I love this film, man. I was going to pick this like 2 years ago when I picked Train to Busan, but it's just I think it holds up really well, like apart from a few scenes where it's quite obvious that we've moved on from those kind of effects, which is weird because it was made like basically side by side with ET, and I don't think you get that from ET.
Yeah, I suppose some visual effects. It reminds me of like the original Terminator in some ways because I think it's so fascinating and cool. It does look dated and it does look fake, but that's why I would give it a pass because of the charm and the fact that they actually had to make, like for example, the scene where I can't remember his name. One of the photographers has that hallucination after he buys that random steak. He gets that steak out of the fridge in the middle of the night as a midnight snack.
That's very much. that is like a parallel with the first Terminator.
that it's just so cool and grisly and gnarly and horrible. It doesn't look real in the slightest, but I just love it for that reason. It just because you can't. If that was just a primitive CGI, it would just be even more of a sore thumb. If it was made 10 years older, 10 years later, I should say. But I think that's why it was. Yeah, it's just a part of the charm. It's just like all the visual effects in this film are just they're part of the design of it and why it gives it such a like this mood and this atmosphere that you can't really replicate with today's technology.
Also, I just want to say about the camera guy, just like Terminator, where like the effect looks a bit bad, but like in context, it's like he's a machine, so it still sort of works like in the story.
Yeah.
This also still works because it's like the ghost is sort of making you look like a plasticine skull, and it's like that'd still be distressing, even though it doesn't look real.
Yeah, you'd still be like, I'm experiencing this because it's what a dream would be like to experience in real life. This is a nightmare envisioned because nothing really is real, nothing really makes sense. But that's what nightmares are all about.
Yeah, I like that. This is I get it. This is my like opening one. I was actually really, really like impressed with a lot of it. I think when you compare like the conversation that the Mr. Incredible has with his wife, it really reminded me of the opening for Jaws, where they're talking about you can tell that they've just moved to the new to Amity, because they're talking about the accent and what the accent sounds like, and from just from something very simple like that, you can get information like they've just moved here, they're not familiar. Like you get information just from what people are talking about. And it's the same with this. You can kind of tell these guys are kind of getting on a bit. You know, they're not as skinny as they used to be. He used to be a diver and that, and you know, I feel like you get the sense they really, really like each other. Well, obviously you get the sense that they like each other, but it's beyond. They're married. You get a sense they like being in each other's company, and they have dynamics with their kids and everything. And like Ben said, that is fucking difficult to actually like convey that, and Spielberg's fucking great at it. And that feeling real makes the horror more effective, because you're immersed in them. You're immersed in what's happening, like shit's moving around your kitchen. And that was very true of us, because we were doing the pumpkin carving thing, and we were trying to get like a little. Eb's got like these little lights that you can kind of stick to stuff, and you press it, and it does the light. And she's got one just above like the sink, and I disconnected it to put it in a pumpkin. And so when I was put it back where it was, and then because I'd actually unstuck it, it fell out while we were watching the film, and I was just like fuck. And yeah, it, like I said, like because they feel real, the horror feels more real, and it feels more personal, and you know, it's not flashy. You know, there's no little girl with pea green soup coming out of her. Like it's all just stuff moving, but like that's very unnerving in the middle of the night. So you know, yeah, I was really, really impressed with it up until the last 20 minutes, where it just shat on itself to the point where I had real trouble getting invested on the second watch. It really, really, that last 20 minutes, like, I think just makes the whole film a waste of time. All of that work, I think, just gets torpedoed by that last 20 minutes. But
I get your issue, but it's so harsh.
Yeah. It is harsh. I think. Can I, Alex?
Really,
Can I ask, is it?
Fucks with me.
There's two questions. One question. What is it that ruins the final act to you? Is it the fact that they go back to the house, or is it the fact that it's just slot horror afterwards? Which part's worse?
It's entirely the motivation behind it. I can't physically imagine the stupidest person I know going, right, we've had months of that. We've had months of our child having disappeared into we don't fucking know where. We've had to call experts in. We've had to call Master Yoda in. I've tried to look around you. You've gone through a portal. All this shit, like the whole film is these people who I like and feel like I know and feel like are real people are them just being fucking traumatized. And so when you then just get to like, okay, well, we sorted that out. Like, do you want to spend another night in there? Yeah, whatever. I'll wash my hair. I'll get grey streaks out. I'm like, no. It's not like you guys are short of fucking money. You're making 42% of the sales in a fucking realtors agency. You're fucking loaded, my friend. Get another night in the hotel. Like, it doesn't cost that. Your kid daughter can fucking afford it. Why? I can't imagine him being fine with it. I can't imagine her being fine with it. I can't imagine either of the kids being fine with it. And like the little girl who went missing, I can't imagine them going like, yeah, that's right. I'll sleep in the same bed opposite that same closet where I went fuck her. Just their whole willingness to just go like, yeah, one more night it won't hurt. Just like, no, I don't care. I don't care if Master Yoda went, no, it's clean. Don't worry about it. It's completely safe. You are completely fine. I'll be like, that's great. I'm not staying here ever again. I'm glad you signed it off, but there's too much trauma now. I don't want to see this place again.
Yeah,
You can't really argue with
you,
that.
you are right. Like, I mean, I think the thing that, I mean, yeah, I absolutely love this film, and I'm probably like willing to forgive it a little bit more than I would usually be. But I think the thing that does crumble a little bit is when he's looking at his like plush clown, because I mean, like the clown's fucking creepy anyway. But in that scene, there's like really effective examples of it where he doesn't have anything to worry about yet. And the clown's just kind of sat there being creepy because it looks creepy. But in that scene, it's like, no, you absolutely have a reason to worry about this fucking thing. And then like when he chucks like the blanket or whatever at it, I was kind of going like, man, if I was that kid and I've just been through all of this, I really don't think a blanket would suffice. The blanket only suffices when you know you don't have, like in your like in the back of your mind, you're going, I know it just looks creepy. That thing doesn't just look creepy now. And what happens after? It's like, yeah, that's a totally legitimate fear that was going to happen. So it's like, yeah, you are right.
That thing would be in fucking pieces. I'd be like, I'm not taking the. I don't even know why it's in there. Honestly, I don't know who's.
Yeah, that clown should have been there from the start. To be fair, who would want something like that in their home?
He's always sleeping next to Little Miss doesn't fucking blink. Like, I don't need a clown in here. He's going like she's already.
I think,
Like I don't know. Fuck this.
in my opinion, I think the worst thing about the ending to me is that I would forgive it for like the a lot of things because of like I could imagine like the dad and the mum going back to the house because in real life you'd have to sort this out. You'd have to sell the property, get rid of and move all your stuff. You won't really want to lose it all. You do all this and that. I think it's bringing the kids back for that one day is the problem. That's more of the issue for me than
it's that for me. It's bringing the kids back, but also like how relaxed they are about it. Like I don't think I would feel comfortable enough to have a bath while they were in another room. And then I think that I always feel like there's a part of like one of the parents should be going, all right, if we have to go back, we have to go back. But can we make sure that there's not like a clown doll with big gangly arms? And like basically like let's just get rid of anything that the poltergeist can manipulate. Let's make sure everything's bolted down.
If this clown is important, let's just fucking put it in the garage or something. I don't know. But yeah, it should have been like let's just like sort all the main stuff and just do it in broad daylight when the neighbours can see everything going on, rather than just chilling at after dark.
Yeah, I feel like they even needed to show a bit more as well. Both actually, they needed to show a bit more resistance to it, but also they needed a reason to go back. So like maybe if one of the mediums were like, yeah, no, your house is fine now, like you carry on. just something where they could like reason with themselves that they're doing the right thing. But without that, it just seems a bit random, I suppose.
Really made them sound a bit more blue collar. That's yeah, go on. You're fine.
It's a shame. It's a real shame because I really do love the final few minutes, like them being in the hotel, and then you get the final shot of them closing the door, and then the door opens again, and he just chucks the TV out just on the outside. That's just the perfect way to end it because it's like, yeah, sod this TV. Let's not even give them a shot. That's when they're thinking sense.
I found that so cheap and irritating. Like, I get it. But I think it was like the combination of I don't think you'd let your kids stay in the house, but also where the fuck are you? Like where are you going? It's like I'm gonna tell my boss to get fucked. I'm like make a phone call, fuck's sake. But then he's just gone. He's just gone until like very very late at night, and I'm like, where was he? Where does he live? Why is he in the car? Why did you bring him back?
To be honest, I could forgive him for that because at the time that wasn't something you could just do by phone call, and that he did just literally finish putting like sorting out their equivalent at the time of I don't know whether it be a mortgage or down payment, whatever. He's sorting out the stuff of his house, leaving them. Was he just officially made partner, or they was trying to make him partner? So there's probably quite a few things that had to happen. And as we know, his boss was so insistent on him staying, he really didn't want him to leave. and he was fine with obviously giving him a lift home because he didn't have his own car, did he?
Mm.
Oh, no, he had his own car, but his boss followed him home.
He drove his boss
that
back
it?
to his house. I don't understand.
No, his boss was in a car that's not his. I think it was the real estate's car. But because of how the boss acted earlier, I assumed the boss was like, "Nah, I want to come home with you because I want to try and convince you to stay." Because he seemed so desperate for him to stay. I was just glad for him to see this mess.
I just.
Like,
Yeah, it's
like,
you don't
first
move
of
the
all,
bodies. You don't move the bodies.
yeah,
like
it's
just
all
before
there
he
just
said that, sorry, just before he said that about the bodies, like literally 10 seconds before, I paused it. It said to my wife, just like, because obviously you see all the bodies coming up. I was like, the dick. He moved the tombstones, but didn't move the actual coffins, the actual graves. No, that takes the piss. No wonder they're having problems. This is a haunting. It's not just a poltergeist. You got tons of dead bodies under your house.
Yeah.
And then he said it
I love
afterwards. I was like, yeah.
I really like that the sort of like dawning of that on him when they're on the hill.
Yeah, that's
and
so good.
we moved the cemetery before, and you go, oh, and you kind of realize that and you kind of get the implications of that, and you go, oh, okay, that was quite subtle actually. I like that. And then again, you just in that last 20 minutes, we're just like, we need to have the boss come back so that I can go, you moved the tombstones but not the bodies. I know, I realise that he didn't move the bodies. That's why this is happening.
But
I
that's
really
such a iconic scene. So good.
get to outright say it. I understood. And you could have just ended it with him going like, oh, I'm giving him directions for going to hell. Like,
To be fair though, like some audiences will just think they just moved the actual like cemetery, like he said. Some people will be gullible enough to think, oh, they've just uprooted them all and just moved it, and it still would be enough to be like, oh, this is sacred ground. You shouldn't be messing with it. Technically, that would be enough for to be some sort of like supernatural influence. But obviously, it should have been stated better in at least more subtle way.
yeah, well, that's the thing. I could believe either. Like, I've moved like the graves and put them over here is similar to, and now like your house is haunted is similar to I moved the headstones and I didn't move the bodies. Like either way, I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
either
thing.
way
Like, even
works.
the idea of like digging up dead bodies and moving them is pretty rough. And
Yeah.
I feel like if you did that, you probably do deserve a holding.
It's just everything just subtle about it. That I went, that was quite cool. That was a nice little touch there. It's all just fucking blitzed out, undone. Because there's a little bit where like he goes to show the experts into the house, and we get like the little lamp assembling itself, and that. Oh. But like, there's that bit. I really liked how he was like, you wanna go in there, and he's like, yeah, no, I saw a Hot Wheels, and it moved like across the room over about 7 hours.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh yeah, no, great. And he like
Yeah,
opens the door, but he doesn't look inside. I just noticed that as body language. He
because
opens
they're
it.
so used to it, aren't they?
He doesn't even want to fucking look at it. He's just looking at the wall, and I was like, that was a really nice little bit of acting there. Like you just you don't want to see it. If you have to show it to him, fine, but you ain't gonna. I thought that was really neat, and it again, ending happens, and I'm like, no, shut up. But anyway,
Yeah, that is a good scene because it just shows you that this family is just trying their absolute best to sort the problem out before they even get a hold of what was her name? The lady, her character. Before they even get to that point, that's how desperate he gets to, because he needs outside help because he can't do this on his own. Because it's just like this haunting's got worse and worse, and that just shows you how long it's been going on for and how much they've like been traumatized to try and get their heads around it. So it's really a very interesting little scene.
Yeah. Anyway, we've still got 2 more opening statements. Sorry, guys. Emmanuel or Pat?
You look like you're ready for war, man.
Let me at him. So unlike last week's film, I'd actually seen this quite a bit, and this film is actually copied a lot on Family Guy as well. There's one specific episode that I'd seen like loads of times, which is actually done in quite a cool way. But I've always liked this film. I refuse to admit that it's not a Spielberg film. Even if you look on my list on the spreadsheet, I have the director Steven Spielberg on there.
There is not.
Oh, good.
Fair enough.
It's everything that you see in any other Steven Spielberg film. This film has it. Like, it's just a Spielberg film. I don't care who's lying. There is someone lying.
It's probably quite a lot of people.
Yeah, but
there's
like
one member of the crew who said that Steven Spielberg did it, but nobody else has admitted it just yet.
Well, I'm not falling for their lies. But apart from the line about who the director is, it's a really good film. I'm stuck in whether it's a thriller or a horror though. I know it's got the horror elements of the ghost, but I feel like it sets itself up more of a like a thriller than a horror. But maybe that's just me being that I don't really feel horror as much anymore as I did when I was younger. Because I know Rob's not great with paranormal activity, let's say.
That also scared the shit out of me, to be fair. Awful film, but I was scared.
The first film sort of played around with me for a couple of hours, but then I fell asleep and forgot about it. The ending, which Alec has notoriously now panned to death, I never really had an issue with. I mean, like, if you think about it, it doesn't make much logical sense, but I suppose they only really went with it so they could sort of show that final scene of the house being evaporated, which for me was like a really cool scene. The acting was pretty spot on, especially by the little girl as well. Which I read. Didn't I read somewhere that the actress who played the girl was died as well?
Yeah, the little girl and the teenage girl both died. So
Yeah.
they're actually buried in the same cemetery now.
Yeah, I was going to go into that. I think that's part of the why this film's kind of had this like infamous reputation, because it's said to be cursed, because basically the boy Robbie was strangled in the making of this film by that fucking clown animatronic, and everyone thought he was acting, and Spielberg himself was like watching the scenes like, yeah, this is great, and then everyone's like, hang on, he's actually being strangled in real life. And they were like, he almost like lost consciousness because of it.
Crap.
People say he actually might have died if Spielberg wasn't on set. Spielberg was the one who was going, hang on, something's not right.
Yeah, that's a bit messed up. It's like, oh, hang on, we need to stop for a minute. Stop looking in awe at this child prodigy. He's not just a prodigy. He's actually just dying. But yeah,
sounds like a title of a future Ben book.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
He's not a prodigy. He's just dying.
The sad thing though is that the older sister, apparently her name was the character of Diana, Dominique Dunn, her boyfriend apparently choked her into a coma, and she died 3 days after in hospital because of the brain aneurysm or something. And the girl who played Carol Heather O'Rourke. She did all 3 sequels apparently, but I think she had bowel cancer and she got septic shock and died at the age of 12. Which is
Jesus.
sad.
Oh,
Bad, and it's
Black Rob says.
No one
in the
didn't.
Simpsons.
You guys have mentioned the sequel, so I didn't even realise there was a sequel. I just saw this.
Yeah, new
Like
one.
spin-offs, like animated spin-offs. I don't know if
Animated.
the Simpsons did a spin-off of it.
Oh yeah, the Simpsons did that one. That's the one we know. Where it's basically
And the Family Guy one is the one that I've watched.
yeah.
Probably the most famous one is the parody in Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I watched the remake, which was meh. Like when you've seen the original, remake was like every horror remake seems to be these days.
Yeah.
It's a bit half-heartedly made.
I dictate it. It's basically
Um,
the last 20 minutes in as a whole film.
Like, this is what gets on my nerves though, because the whole thing leading up to like the big thing that I thought was the end. Everything's just so subtle and like small, and it's something moving, or it's a light turning on, or it's this or it's that. So when a giant fucking animatronic skull comes out and screams in Mr. Incredible's face, I actually went, "Whoa, fuck!" Like I didn't.
Mr. Incredible.
Yeah, that's the Mr. Incredible's voice actor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like when that happened, I didn't mean to say "whoa fuck," but it just got it out of me. I was like, "Shit!" It reminded me of Evil Dead 2. Like I was just like, "God damn!" Like everything had been so small, so when you do something like that, it's got a lot more impact.
Mm.
So yeah, I was kind of when they were just like, also there's the skeletons in the swimming pool. I was like, "Yeah, we've already done Satan screaming at me. I don't like whatever." Like.
Oh, can I mention something about the skeletons? I'm sure Rob might know this.
Know what you're
Oh,
doing.
yeah, this is
Was it?
awful.
Oh, the skeletons were actual real skeletons because back in the 80s it was easier to get real life donated skeletons from medical school than it was to actually get them made by the props department. So those were real skeletons of real people that died.
And what's even worse is that they didn't tell the actress in the swimming pool before she went in.
It's fine.
That Dan Spielberg in his movies.
It's like, yeah, that's why they're good because he cuts corners and does things for cheap, but they are effective.
Can you imagine coming out of that swimming pool and being told, yeah, those were real skeletons, actually? Because that isn't a story that apparently she came out and she was like, those skeletons look great. And they were like, yeah, we should probably tell you something.
They're very authentic. They died last week.
They were the previous cast.
Yeah, this was Frank. This was like Jim from. You knew them.
Me.
Yeah, because there's a Mr. Alex Pittman.
It's like, how would you deal with that? Like, it's
a joke that you'd play on me, and I'd be like, yeah, and you're just like,
it's something that I'd probably like in concept I'd find very funny, and then I'd go to do it and go, I can't, I can't do this to him.
It is quite funny though. Just like,
his reaction will be great. That being said, they are corpses.
It wouldn't bother me in the slightest.
Oh, dude, how?
Hey,
In a swimming pool as well, so you're like
prank,
swimming around in their juices.
if you're gonna do a prank, you got to go the whole way.
I don't know. I draw the line at dead bodies, but that's just me.
Hey,
No,
they're not
it
going to
depends
feed
on
that
the
anymore, are they? When someone dies, their soul leaves the body's useless. At least that's what religion tells you.
Yeah, but if you're gonna
I won't live in
Poltergeist
any
tells
land
you
you
not to
developed.
build on top of them.
the man, you'll say.
Oh, I said I won't live on any land that you develop, Pat.
Don't worry, I don't think I'll ever develop land.
I have no desire to be a real estate agent, rather than I won't build on top of a cemetery.
I mean, I wouldn't build on top of a cemetery. That's a bit disrespectful, isn't it?
An ancient
We've seen what
burial
happens.
ground.
But yeah, but I wouldn't put it past Rishi Sunak.
Oh, no.
No, I wouldn't put it past Keith either, unfortunately.
No.
Oh, didn't do my opening statement, did I? Yeah, I thought it was good. I wasn't necessarily in the mood to watch it, so I was like, okay. And then watched. I was like, oh, this is this is good. I mean, there are some questionable stuff here or there. Some stuff like, there's only a few things, like random small things, but then there were lots of good small things. That was like, it's nice that they put that in. Just like if it was Alec or a few other people said about you feeling like it's small things like a real couple or happy, like healthy relationship couple might do. But like it's nice to see that, especially in a film that is older like this. Like it's and something like this, it's nice. It makes it all better, more realistic. That makes it better quality. The ending was wild. I was just laughing so much. And I was only laughing when they're just they're all obviously panicking, panic attack or whatever kind of thing's going on. They're all panicking. The husband's trying to get his keys out his pocket. He's struggling, and he's getting in the car, and the wife and the kid are just screaming at him. He's just like, I'm just like, I know he's panicking, but you're making this worse. And then he's just trying, but they're panicking too much, so they can't even help him. And then eventually, when the daughter gets dropped by the boyfriend, and the little things they put in about her and her relationships and stuff going on, and stuff she shouldn't be doing, or ahead of time, that was nice as well. But she's just like, she gets out the car, she's like, what is happening? What is happening? It's just like, get in the car. He's like, what is happening? Get in the car. It's like, it's just, I'm just laughing. I'm just like, this is just mad. And then everything's just blowing up. Fire's here, fire hydrant. People just like, what's going on? And they're just like, we're telling it out of here. And the boss is just like, oh. I'm just watching this house just crumple, and I'm just like, this is mad, but this is great. Like, it's even though, like, don't get me wrong, there's so many like, yeah, that you have little problems with it, or big problems, or the fact that it was off that she's just leaving them in the room by themselves. Like there was just things that are too much off. And yeah, even though the lady did say, and like they didn't show them saying it to the family, which I assume they did. But yeah, the short lady was just like, the older lady was like, yeah, this house is clean. So I just assumed they got told. But even then, you're gonna be wary. You're traumatized. You went through the most. This family's been through it. But still, what it ended. Just, I'll leave it there.
Well said, man.
I'm really surprised you had so much fun with it.
You'd go further than Alec and be like, no, they shouldn't have even set foot in that house from the start or something.
There was a couple of things where I was going, Emmanuel's going to hate this. like part of it was going back to the house and like that whole ending sequence. Another one was when the teenage daughter gets catcalled and her mum's just like, oh,
yeah,
I thought that was going to trigger you.
But saying that during the time, I know it was still bad, but I kind of forgave that. But
Yeah.
sorry, were you going to say something else?
Oh no! It's just generally like I just kept going like, oh, this is something Emmanuel's gonna hate. And then when I saw your score, I was like, holy shit!
Yeah, what it really was for me, I think, was the fact that I think it was all the small things. All the anyway,
Small
sorry.
things.
I'm
Work
thinking about that song
sucks.
now. Yeah, I can't even think of the lyrics now. But it was the kind of small things that they put into the film, because you had small things that were like I'm like, huh, this is not quite consistent. How do you have a problem with the chairs? But she's right in front of the TV, and then you're just like, I'm not going to tell you to get back so you don't get square eyes and all that kind of stuff. Very common at the time. Instead of that, they're just like, oh, I'm going to switch it to some war film so you can watch some people die and be killed in violent film that you're not meant to watch at this age. I'm just like, lady, I don't understand. Like, you see them throwing food at each other, you don't even say a word.
She doesn't
I,
care.
I, I'm just like, there's some stuff that ain't consistent here. But when she asked her, hey, the thing you said, like, you said they're here, what are you talking about? And the kid, just ignores it and says something else. She doesn't let it up. She then gives it a bit, says it again. And then she doesn't dismiss her, even though it doesn't sound like it makes sense in her head. She's like, she thinks about it. The amount of films that be like that do the trope of, especially at the time, we just watched Lost Boys. Uh, that doesn't exist. That's nonsense. So blah blah blah. She actually thought, and I'm sure she also thought in her mind about the time her kid was literally yelling at the TV and just having a conversation with it, and waking them all up. I'm sure that was going through her head as well. It was things like that, and lots of other little things in the relationship, and it's just like, you know what? Even though it's got some problems, it was thoughtfully done, and I like what they did here. This was definitely Spielberg. This was not Hooper, but I definitely, yeah, I think those things really helped. One thing as an aside, I'd say again, definitely Spielberg. They talked about how Hooper was distant on set, and like it was created a little bit of tension, whereas Spielberg was actually giving direction. It's
Yeah.
just like, I'm just gonna assume, he's your buddy. He's helping you out. You got the legal thing. No hard feelings. I just find it funny. I'm just like your name's all over the film. Like you're all in this process. Like, and this guy did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Sorry. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
I think that's the thing that's like, it's such a funny thing because I don't know. Like, I can understand it from both of their perspectives. I think because like if you're Steven Spielberg and you've got this screenplay that you started writing as like a sequel to another film that was like very close to your heart, and it's now split off into two things. I can see why you'd want to try and make both of them at the same time. I think that's totally reasonable, and I think it's a huge shame that Paramount wouldn't let him do this officially. Um, and I kind of get it from Tobe Hooper's point of view as well, because it's just like, well, why not help Steven Spielberg out? Like, if Steven Spielberg wants to secretly make a film, then, you know, I don't think many people would have said, like, no, I'm going to leave you on your own kind of thing.
And
But
also the
it's
fact
like,
it's his
sorry.
big break as well. Sorry to interrupt. Oh, Simon's here.
Hey, Simon.
I I went back home because it's raining, and I can't put any more fireworks up.
Yeah, it's pissing down here now as well.
Yeah, it's
So I
torrential.
mean, all that means is I'm still at home. I haven't got my laptop ready, so I'm just gonna do it on my phone. So I just hide up top of the manual.
So,
Do you want to do your little introduction?
Yeah, opening statement.
I would say that this Steven Spielberg, I mean, not Steven Spielberg film. Yes, it's very much a Steven Spielberg film, except for like the last 20 minutes is what I would say. Everything else, that last 20 minutes felt like
Yeah. Where's Alex?
Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, wait, is Alex not here?
He is here. He just walked off there.
Yeah, he's having a
Okay.
piss.
Okay, I was gonna say it's very Spielbergy until the last 20 minutes where it's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, yeah, it's because like there was just a lot of like screaming, a lot of weird stuff happening. There was a half naked person, an half naked woman, and it's just like it's just too much. It's too much chaos at the end, and it just felt a bit odd. Then I realized, oh wait, yeah, because that's what he made his movie. Everything in the beginning felt very. Is it weird to say that the way that the shots were framed and like the way that it was like made, it felt kind of ET-ish? Like,
well, that's the thing. Like, so the screenplay was originally called Night Skies, and half of it got developed into ET, and the other half got developed into this.
Weird, because it's kind of like you saw like the shots of just like the town and the way that it moved and the shots and like the way that like the characters interacted with each other early in the movie. I just felt like, yeah, you could just like cut this part out, stuck it to ET, and it would have been the same movie nearly. And it's like, yeah, it's just like it's a bit just the scene, the way that it's framed and everything is done. It just feels a bit silly and like comical for the movie. Then afterwards it gets into the more ghostly stuff afterwards. But even then, it's because maybe it's because we just finished watching American Tail. The animation for the hands and the ghosts and stuff, I was like, that really reminds me of that scene from like an American Tail with the oceans, like just like kind of like creepy, like wavy effects. I was like, I think it's the same sort of like artist, maybe, but I was like, maybe not. That's just me.
But this was Industrial Light and Magic.
So it might have been. It might have been as Spielberg was like, oh, can you just do this stuff as well? Oh yeah, sure.
I think that's the thing, like, because I mean, although I think considering it was made at the same time as ET, I think when you look back at ET, the effects have held up a lot better. But when you read the background of this, you realise like how much went into the effects, even though they look dated now. Because like there was one scene, I can't remember what it was now, but apparently Industrial Light and Magic took like months to put it together. And you kind of look at it now and it's like, oh, it looks a bit off or whatever. But yeah, you forget how innovative that kind of stuff was at that point, even though ET made it look a lot easier somehow. It's weird as well because they were also the same budget.
Well, I mean, looking at it and looking at like the way that stuff was made, it felt very I don't want to treat the pick, but it looked very Exorcist-ish, especially with like the melting face and like the moldy food and thing, and like him washing his face in the mirror, and afterwards it's like, oh, the blood is coming off. Oh, then my face is coming off. And oh, that's just like an illusion. I was like, yeah, but it just looks. It's like that scene in Terminator where Arnie is cutting out his eye. And obviously,
yeah, it's exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought I just looked at it, I kind of laughed, and I was like, I think at the time it was groundbreaking, but now it's just kind of B movie bad, and I'm like, yeah, this is like, I feel like I can make a cast of myself and just like cut it open and go, oh no, I'm cutting myself. Wink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I said as well. It is like dated, but it's part of the charm, and it makes the film for that era, makes it of that time period, and everything like that. And random fact, did you know in that shot of the cameraman pulling his face off, it was Spielberg himself who did the face peeling. Those were his hands,
Oh,
because
really?
the prop itself was so expensive and so like we've only got one shot. Spielberg was like, okay, if you don't want to do this, because the guy who was supposed to do it chickened out, and he was like, okay, if no one else is going to do it, I'm going to do it because I'm going to do it right the first take, and if we mess this up, it's all on me. And so he just did it himself and in one take, because that's the only take they had, the only way they could get prosthetic to look good, and those were his hands just doing it really.
I love that. Like
Yeah.
that's like if you're Steven Spielberg, that's the exact sort of thing that you should be doing. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking. Oh, sorry.
Does that,
Oh.
no, I was gonna say, does that make him like have a uncredited acting role then, technically speaking?
He did everything else, so you might as well have that too. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got uncredited acting roles in most of his films.
Yeah, he
accidentally,
designed
to be fair.
the film. He did the screenplay. He did the original draft, and apparently he kind of like he was on every day bar 3 of every day on set bar 3 days, and he did the final cut. Tobe Hooper did like everything like this thing, but he did the final cut and the final visual effects and the sound mix.
That's mad, isn't it?
That was Source.
Yeah, because we've been talking a lot about the ending. Oh, look, perfect. That's brilliant timing. Because we've been talking a lot about the ending and like how wonky some of it is. I do think it's worth mentioning. I don't know if you thought the same, Ben, but when you go back and watch Poltergeist after having watched The Fabelmans, I think some of the mum's behaviour is a bit more explainable. It's like when you know what Steven Spielberg's mum was like,
Yeah,
that's probably the only person in the world I can see having a bath in the house that is happening.
because she's eccentric, kind of like she has undisclosed mental issues, you could say. Like in The Fabelmans, Spielberg's mother allegedly went out to take the kids to see a real life tornado happening in the street. So it's kind of like, if that's behavior of a sane woman, I don't know what is. Then this. So
Well, I mean, she was a bit crazy, anyways, because when there was like there was a scene after the breakfast where the chairs all suddenly piled up.
yeah,
She was like, but then afterwards she was like, hey, honey, come quickly, come inside the house. Look, you can look at this chair. Look at it, just slide along the thing. Like, she was not a normal person, because no normal person was like, huh, the chairs moved themselves. Did I do that? Okay, let's test it out. Oh, the chair really is moving itself. Let's not stay in this house anymore. It's normal reaction.
Yeah.
Not, hey, hey, my daughter, my precious baby girl, put on his helmet and slide along this kitchen table, kitchen floor. And I was like, no normal person would do that. So obviously she had lots of problems already. And I'm just thinking, I don't know what her plan was, but like, I wouldn't be enjoying the fact that I can slide this chair across the kitchen table or kitchen floor without it moving. It's just a bit weird.
You muted, Ali.
yeah.
You're also muted,
Everyone's muted. What's going on?
Before Alex speaks, like the last few minutes watching Alec has been my favourite part. So I could hear Simon, but I was watching Alec. It looked like at the moment he was being Mr.
I was getting ready because I was going to go, Simon, what can you see? Don't go toward the light.
But you told me to go towards the light. Now you don't want to go towards the light. Make up your damn mind. Well, this rope is around my body and slats, not really slats. Then afterwards, it's that same scene from The Simpsons. I remember that 3 hours before. I was like, oh right, yeah, this is where that's from, right? Obviously with 3D effects.
Yeah. An ancient Indian what?
That scene that you were just talking about, that's where I started thinking about The Fabelmans, because that's the exact kind of thing you could imagine the stand-in for Steven Spielberg's mum in that doing. And I suppose that's the thing, because like where Close Encounters of the Third Kind is kind of like this thing where he was sort of bringing his parents back together, because his dad was like a very sort of straight-laced scientist, and like he only cared about like the practicalities of everything, and he was interested in how things worked and like how you could make a living out of them, essentially. And his mum was a musician, and she was a lot more kind of like easygoing, I suppose, and she was a lot more I suppose like free on a sense, like where his dad was very much like, this is how you live life and this is how you do things. His mum was more like, just sort of like feel your way through things and work it out. And I think where you've got like a scientist on one side and a musician on the other, that's basically Close Encounters, because they're communicating through science and music. So I suppose where this started out as a sequel to Close Encounters, I can see how the family would reflect Steven Spielberg's family as well, which I think gives it a slight concession in his mum acting a bit weird.
Yeah, definitely. Can I talk about the conception of this film? Like we mentioned before, like you said, it was like Dark Skies or whatever it was. Like
Night Skies, I think it was.
Night Skies, Watch the Skies, whatever it was. I think what's so fascinating is this film, as you said, was like it was a part of what E.T. became and also what Gremlins became, because the whole concept was like, Spielberg was like, I'm going to make it, I want to do if you want to do a sequel to Close Encounters, you write one and I'll see how it is. And these writers, I can't remember the writer's name, came up with this crazy script, which was this massive, like 200-page script that had everything we know from E.T., Gremlins, and Poltergeist in it, where aliens come back and this chaotic group of gremlins or aliens terrorize the town and this family. And one of the aliens kind of befriends one of the kids, and there's a bad alien that basically is Stripe, and they escape and they cause havoc in the home and then eventually in the town itself. And yeah, it's all these films meshed together. So I think splitting into three was the best idea in this case, especially doing it for something like E.T. Spielberg was like that. This concept of an alien coming back and being left behind was just too good to just waste in one film. And same with like these evil aliens causing havoc in the town. That's too good. Let's make that Gremlins. And Poltergeist, oh well, this family being terrorized by this unseen entity. That's another great idea. So I think it was just like whoever wrote that script just had like such a creative brainstorm, and like everything they were thinking of, that's like, this is gold. We can make this into something else. So yeah,
You can see like how the three of them would connect as well. Like I think if you made if well, I mean, you'd have to change little bits, like, well, you just have to change like aesthetic bits really. So if you made some slight tweaks to this so that the person, or not the person, but the entity that kidnapped the child was an alien rather than a ghost, and then in Gremlins you changed it so that rather than being Gremlins they were aliens, you could make a supercut of all three films and it'd probably be quite good.
yeah. And if you think about, if you put Gremlins 2 in it, you can say that Electricity Gremlin is the Poltergeist.
Gremlins 2. Thank you.
Did you guys suggest like a Steven Spielberg extended universe, like a whole fucking like TV series?
Yeah, he was thinking that. He thought of it an SSU, extended universe. Yeah, that'd be great.
That's just. I mean, it's also weird because like then afterwards you just, because of like because ET wasn't made yet, was it?
It came out a week after Poltergeist.
Okay, because I saw like the blanket for the Star Wars, and like because Chewie is like covering the clown in like one of the other scenes on his jacket, right? I just thought, if ET was made earlier, would all of that shit just have been ET merchandise instead? And I was thinking, maybe because if it was, then it would explain everything altogether. Then, but like if we extend the universe even further, all that means is Steven Spielberg is just gonna get bought by Disney, and everything is just gonna be into a super weird like conglomerate of like MGM, Paramount universe stuff. It's gonna be like multiverse of multiverses. It'll be such a clusterfuck of stuff. It's just like no one cares anymore.
I'm glad that they didn't have the option to do that, to be honest, because I like to have the option to imagine that E.T. and Poltergeist both happen in the same universe somewhere.
Yeah, I think being like left to your imagination works best as well for all of them. But I think if any of them should have been the sequel, E.T. is the one that most naturally fits of all. But
Do you know what? I think I'd actually say Poltergeist fits best, but obviously you'd have to change out the ghost abduction for an alien abduction instead.
Yeah. But
because
like
it's a similar thing of like somebody leaving their family in it, which isn't quite as strong in E.T.
It could all work, yeah. That the trilogy works, in my opinion. But yeah, it is very interesting. I was reading about what Spielberg may or may not have done, and basically what many of the actors have said, which is quite hilarious, is that apparently Tobe Hooper said action, and at the end of the shot, Spielberg said cut. So he started it, and Spielberg finished it, and it's quite. It tells you a lot that apparently, like what a scooper from Hollywood, what was it? Some sort of like, I think LA Times or something, saw Spielberg doing second unit direction, and suddenly leaked the whole thing that he was directing the whole film. And obviously, second unit direction isn't entirely the direction anyway, because it's just doing like the less important stuff. But the fact that Spielberg was on there for literally 99% of the time, it was bound to happen, and he was bound to be there, and he was bound to be directing something. And I can see why everyone was assuming maybe he was maybe his finger was in more shots and more things than everyone realized. But yeah,
it's just because it didn't entirely like it is.
Yeah.
But
it's such a cool thing though, because I mean, I think I think you have to admire like how committed he is to it, because at that point in his career, like he'd done Close Encounters and Jaws, and he was working on E.T. And for him to like have the inclination to go and basically make another film that he's not even being credited or paid for, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you say that, right? But there's a very dangerous like thought process behind that. If Steven Spielberg can like just go and take someone else's like ideas and take an idea and go, hey, just make this film for us. Imagine if that happened for like Kevin Feige or John Favreau or like Taika Waititi, and them not just go, yeah, just like make loads of films, just put our ideas and our direction, and we just be like, yeah, keep it on the down low. We just say I produced it. I mean, then after you just have even more films under their directorship, I guess, and it's just like I can imagine a world like that where every film is a Taika Waititi film, and I'm like, that's it. Yeah. So it's just like, no, it's like.
But to be fair, in order to have the inclination to do this, you have to be like really into what you're doing, which I don't get the impression that he is.
Okay, sure, but like you get what I mean, right? The thought process.
Yeah.
There's a very dangerous slope.
I feel like you'd tell Taika, like, you won't get paid for this, or like, you won't be credited for it, and he'd just lose interest entirely.
That's the key part.
And then he'd see a script, and he'd go like, can we make it like less funny?
Yeah, I can't imagine Taika Waititi is the kind of person to be happy for Senor Spielberg to be credited.
No, definitely not.
fucking hate Taika Waititi.
Well, at least you got it on record now.
Yeah.
So I feel all deflated now. I thought there was going to be more of a fight with this one. But then you all agreed with me very, very early on. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah, we agree, but we still like the film.
that's
That's
okay.
the difference. But like Simon said, he said that it was like, oh yeah, it's very like the shock horror of the ending is so like what Toe People was good at in Texas Chainsaw, and you can see that. Okay, I can see why he was just like, yeah, just go nuts. So just go, whatever you want to do, just make it as crazy and mental as you can.
I think the best summary of Toe Peeper is that because we were talking about this week.
I thought you were saying Taika wrong.
Taika Hooper.
I think the best summary of Toe Peeper was I went and had a look at like what else he'd done, and I can't even remember what film it was now, but it was some film in the 90s, and on the poster it said from the writer and director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and when I read that I was genuinely surprised that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre had a writer.
Especially him. Well, actually, I have a really interesting quote about all the. Apparently, Spielberg was like interviewed about like who directed Poltergeist, and he was obviously quite coy about it because of the NDNA and all that. And he said,
I'll never tell.
yeah, he said, "Oh, Tobe isn't a take charge guy," and everyone was like, "Well, what did you mean? Like, if you're a director, you have to kind of take charge, right? So if he's not a take charge guy, then what is he?" And then Tobe Hooper was like subsequently interviewed about that, and he said that question is not good for business, and he like is like,
Oh
that's
wow,
what
that's basically confirming it.
like,
Like if it wasn't obvious enough already. Like there was like I was saying earlier, there's one member of the crew. I don't think they've ever been named, but one member of the crew has said, "Yeah, this is a Steven Spielberg film," but everyone else has kind of like refused to talk about it. Which I don't know. I feel like it's almost like 50 years old. I feel like you probably can talk about it at this point.
yeah, I think by the time the 20, well, yeah, but it's going to be 50 years in next decade, so we might as well.
Like a passing familiarity with Spielberg, like, and he'd go like, "I definitely didn't make this," yeah, and then I just see the film and go like,
Yeah, can you imagine being like a Paramount executive when Poltergeist came out? Because you'd be sitting there going, "That bastard."
Yeah, he secretly directed this before ET. Also, it's Universal, Rob. I just realised.
Oh, is it Universal?
Yeah, ET is Universal.
Is it?
Mm.
like, if this was like a tax
It's universally great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Universal. Yeah.
yeah, if this was a tax thing, and I was Steven Spielberg, I'd be fucking sweating because I'd be like, "This is definitely me."
I definitely
Thing about me, you know, this is me.
I think it's the contract. I don't know whether it has to expire at some point, like Rob says. That's why they can't say anything. But yeah, you don't want to get sued. And the thing is, another thing, I don't think Spielberg wanted to throw Tobe Hooper under the bus because it was kind of like his big break. And if he said he directed it, it kind of makes Hooper kind of like, I don't know, he just loses all credibility. And
Have credibility. Oh.
good thing, right? But it's kind of like it's he and Hooper can't really say anything against it because Spielberg was like the most powerful man in Hollywood at that point in history. So it's kind of like they're damned if one of them says one thing. It's kind of like you can't really say anything.
Well,
Yeah.
all we need is one of them, like if they're on their deathbed, be like, I guess Spielberg's like, you're like, yeah, I directed Poltergeist, and then afterwards they're like, okay, the myth has been solved. That's the only way this is gonna happen. I feel like if he doesn't do it that way every time, it's just like he's just gonna get sued by Paramount or like, or no, sorry, you said Universal, right? Universal would be like, we told you what will happen. You're just gonna have to be. You're just gonna be. We'll send you to jail or some nonsense if they're gonna try some shit, right? For their contract. You're like, you sold your soul to us. So that's the way it is. I feel like all these stuff, like directors and stuff. But
you delivering that like this has made me think you could always just try and summon him with a Ouija board.
I mean, yes. I feel like that's kind of the point of these sort of movies. If he's buried on like an Indian burial ground, but just remove his headstone, then afterwards, it's just one of those things. Why would you? Yeah. What? I guess it's just the thing about him. I guess it's just greedy. I was just thinking, why did he not think about moving the body? So it's like, oh no, he's a greedy land developer. He just went, oh, the headstones are like, It's just like,
I just found the quote from the crew member that I was talking about. So it says it was a very intense, very fun, very technical movie to work on. There's a lot going on, and candidly, Steven Spielberg directed the movie. There's no question. However, Tobe Hooper, I love that man so much. Hooper was so nice and just happy to be there. He had some input. It wasn't anything against Tobe. Every once in a while, Steven would actually leave the set and let Tobe do a few things just because, but really, Steven directed it.
That settles it.
I believe it.
No surprise there.
Well, that's the thing, because you go like, man, this is actually really, really good. Yeah, it's got Tobe Hooper's name on it.
Have you ever seen Salem's Lot?
Is she there?
Have you ever seen Salem's Lot?
No.
Yes. To be honest, it's a bit of a commitment to watch it, but like it's interesting. Like it's very different to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, that seems to derail things.
Sorry. I wasn't expecting it to be such a controversial statement.
I'll say we seem all pretty happy with this. Just like, yeah. Ending fucking sucks. Tobe Hooper didn't direct it. That's there it is.
Well, I mean, like as you guys were saying, like Spielberg did let him like film a few scenes and stuff. I mean, he would have to fuck up massively before Spielberg had to go, fuck the NDA, I'm going to take credit for everything, I'm just going to do it all. Fuck you, Toby. I don't think that's going to ever happen, because he's like, oh, come on, he's the greenhorn, you got to give him a chance to shine, and Spielberg was like, okay. I mean, like, that's the only way you can really like imagine it, because like, if, I don't know, because I think I saw that there was a remake of this, right?
Yeah.
There is, but it's
like what you expect a remake to be.
The remake has done that well that they've not released any physical media for it in this country.
Have they not?
No.
Really? Well, that's amazing. It's like 10 years old now, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I was about to say, because like if this was like had the Spielberg name as like front and center, right? Would it just not, because like they've never remade E.T. or anything like that, right? Obviously, or at least I hope they haven't.
No, not yet.
Okay.
They kind of have, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I forget the name of it now. Let me find it.
The Extra Testicle.
But my point is this, because if it did have like the Steven Spielberg name like front and center, it would have been considered one of his classic films, nearly. And it's like the completely classical films like E.T. and it's like it would have been a film that has been untouchable nearly, or like everyone would be like, don't remake a Steven Spielberg film, because like E.T. hasn't got a remake, even though it was so popular during that time. it could have been remade, but no one did because I think they were like, oh no, I don't want to ruin Steven Spielberg's work. So it's kind of like one of those films. Did if this had his name on it, I don't think it would have been a remake in I think it's 2016, and it would have had like at least a home video version of it, you know. But no physical media. That's just shit. That's fucking appalling. So okay, wait, is it like no physical media just in the UK, or you can just like get on like pirated DVD on again States or something, or is it how bad is it? Like no physical media at all?
I mean, it's not a terrible film, but it's forgettable.
Ugh. Okay.
Yeah, I think you can import it. You can import the Blu-ray from the States.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Mac and Me was the film I was thinking of.
Oh, that weird film. Oh, right. Jeez.
It's so like,
Yeah,
it's so ridiculous. It came out like I think about 5 years after ET, and it was literally just trying to like cash in on ET being such a popular film. So like, it's the same thing of like a boy meets an alien and like takes it in as his pet kind of thing, and yeah.
Yeah, Crap and Me.
I was gonna say Mac and Me. I thought I was like, isn't that the name of the film with the dog? No, it's like, oh no, that's Marley and Me. Okay, yeah. So it's okay. Okay, so yeah, okay. I didn't even know that film existed. So this is gonna be one of those films. I just have a look at.
The alien from Mac and Me looks a bit like if you crossed ET with the baby from Dinosaurs. I just put it in the chat.
Oh, I think that was it.
Gotta love me. I think ET is more.
Man, that looked bad.
ET is more adorable.
What did you say it was a cross between?
Oh, the
ET
dinosaur.
and the baby from Dinosaurs.
I'll show you
Some
again.
dinosaurs. Too funny.
Yeah, it's actually quite an interesting film if you fancy digging it out, because it's yeah, they basically rip off ET, but there's like just I don't know, just like really weird product placement throughout it. Like there's like loads of Pepsi and McDonald's stuff for some reason.
Oh man, random product placement.
Oh, did you guys spot the alien poster in the kid's bedroom?
Oh, I kept looking at the kids' bedroom actually because there was so many like different pop
Stalls,
culture
like-
references. Like
yeah.
it could have been Pat's bedroom because there was also a Lakers poster in there.
I've got an NBA 2K24 poster, but not a Lakers one.
Is it the Kobe Bryant one there?
Yeah.
Oh, that counts.
Hold on. I'll take a picture and I'll send it to you. In the chat.
I think my neighbour was watching The fucking Shining. That was freaky.
Yeah, I'd count that
The
as
Shannon.
Lakers poster.
Cool. Oh, I've got like the mobile version of that downloaded. I haven't tried it yet.
What, TK whatever? 24.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah. They iPhone's more they're importing more console games, or I said more. They're importing like some console games. Like you got Resident Evil 4 coming soon, and some other stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
I hate mobile games.
Why? The iPhone 15 even has ray tracing.
Ah.
Is it a mobile
Rob looks
game
distraught
if
that I
it's a,
hate it.
I can't
Is
believe
it
he
a-
said this.
is it a mobile game if it's a console import?
If a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to hear it.
Has it even fallen?
Because there's a
I
lot of
just don't like playing games on my phone. I think it's all it comes down
fair
to.
enough. It makes sense. Or turn your phone into the console so that you're using your phone as a controller while you're playing a game on a TV.
But how am I going to get a guide up if I get stuck?
Sorry, I've derailed it. We could go back to this. It's just too funny.
Favorite scenes?
Ooh, I hadn't thought
The
about
last
this.
20 minutes.
That's not true.
I'd never believe that.
What is happening? What is happening? God, what is happening?
Where did you put the bodies? Where you are? Agent Engine, what?
I'm trying to think. That reminds me of so many different lines in different films. Like, is it Arnie doing a film? It is like Bane, not Bane, Christian Bale. What is happening? I don't know.
Where are the drug toys?
I can't understand you. That's the point.
I guess one of my favorite scenes, I suppose it's like the little scene where it's just after the first, like, when they're, I forget her bloody name. I've seen this film a million times. I can't remember her name. The lady, they get to kind of like assess the haunting itself, and they're just chilling, they're all just resting in the lounge, and they just have a chat and have a swig of from a flask, and just talk to each other about what is to come and what it is they've experienced, and they just talk about life after death and all the profound nature of it all. I thought that was quite a very atmospheric and quite very like thought provoking. How they speak about what it means to be alive and what it means about the other side, and she just lends with like, he is the beast, and all that. It just gives this great sense of dread and doom of what they have to face, kind of like calm before the storm in a sense. It's a good place setter for the rest of the film to follow. It's one of those things.
This probably won't come as a surprise to many of you, but the scene where they're watching the game and like the neighbour changing the channel and then they're changing the channel, I found that quite funny.
That was.
That was another scene actually where I was going, Emmanuel's not going to like this.
I found it funny, to be honest. I was just like, yeah, this is what happens when you do X, Y, Z. But yeah, I did find it funny.
It had a very much of a sitcom feel to it, that scene in particular.
Yeah.
I also quite like the scene where the house evaporated. So I wasn't lying when I said the last 20 minutes.
Would have been better if the ending, like the kid said, "Vision." like Bart did at the end of the Simpsons episode.
That's lost on me.
Oh, you don't remember that scene? It literally
No.
just explodes and the Bart's just like, yeah, look, that was so fucking cool.
Do you know what? I think my favourite bit is probably the whole back and forth when the mum's like, "Oh, you said don't go into the light." I think that's like that. I think that's really effective in a few ways, but like especially because if you've ever dealt with kind of like a doctor for anything, then you'd know that. Well, most people would, not everyone, I suppose, but yeah, most people would know that feeling of like getting advice and then the doctor going back on that advice because of something else or whatever. And I just thought that was a really effective way to sort of convey that nobody really knows what they're doing in this situation. And yeah, I find that so. Yeah, I like. It's not like I gotta say, like it's not kind of like the most kind of like bone chilling of films, but I find that scene so scary because I just think like if you're a parent where your child has gone missing into effectively a different dimension and you're getting conflicting advice over it, that must be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the opposite of that. My favorite scene is where they have the ghost specialists come into the house and they're like, "So can we see the room?" I was like, "Oh, we haven't really been in the room. It's a bit scary for us." I was like, "Oh, how scary could it be?" Like they open the door, all the shit is flying around, and afterwards you see like the record player, but it's like spinning, and I was like, I looked at it, I was like, this Casper the Friendly Ghost? I was like, what the fuck is this shit? It was so then afterwards because afterwards you see the shot where she's trying to drink like a cup of tea and her hands are like just go like shaking like crazy. I'm like, I thought that was supposed to be more scarier than it is. It's not. I mean, at that point I was like watching. I was like, this isn't really like supposed. It isn't really scary. It's just a bit. It's a bit creepy sometimes. Yeah, but that was just like. It was just. I mean, that was hilarious. Come on now. Just seeing that scene, I was like, Afterwards, slowly it goes into a bit more scarier. Then it goes back shit insane in for like the last 20 minutes. But like, all right, yeah, it was a very slow progress of scary, I guess. But it's like, yeah, it wasn't. I think that scene's funny because it's just like just seeing her open the door. I think all of them like go, what the fuck? And afterwards close the door. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, perfect.
That scene actually where everything's flying around, that's the one where Industrial Light and Magic took like months to get it right. Because I guess like it was new technology at the time, and I suppose even though it looks a bit wonky now, there is a lot to consider with that kind of thing when it's new technology. So I suppose it's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like it looks a bit off now, but when you go back and read about what it took to put those kind of things together at the time, you do find some respect for it. While we're talking about production, though, quickly, I will say, like, well, I did take half a point off because of the gravestones themselves. I thought they looked very clean.
Alex looks unimpressed.
Well, I had a favourite scene.
Oh.
Not anymore. Gone now.
Why? What was it?
It was just before she was gonna jump into the closet and, didn't know if she was coming back, and like it's all just sort of communicated in body language. Really, they they're kind of gonna have a last kiss, like as far as they know. Like it might be, we don't know, but it's just something that they kind of unanimously agree on without really talking about it. Just like Carol Ann's more important than they are. And yeah, I think like just imagining yourself and someone you love doing that, like really, really powerful moment, I think. Isolated from you know who. But yeah, I was like, shit, man, that was really tragic and really like just nasty and very powerful. Like they're just kind of taking solace in each other, and yeah, and then they show up and they both came up. It turns out they had to go through the jam mines to go and get her and that, and I was like, oh, well, got a little acknowledgement there. Thanks, Steve. I mean Toby. No, I mean Steve. But yeah, and the ending just fucking ruined it. I know.
I think what you need to do is just like make a cut where you swap the ending of this with the ending of the Amityville Horror, and it can just end with them leaving the house and going fuck that place.
That's the thing. The frustrating thing is, I know for a fact that. Oh, I don't know. I don't know for a fact because Steven Spielberg helped make Ready Player One, so he's not right all the time. I don't know why they didn't end it in with the removal van. He's just like, I'm gonna tell my boss to go fuck themselves. You get to the hotel. Like that's it. That's all it had to be. That would have been completely fine. They just end it fucking there. I don't know why they went. Let's just make this worse. Like I don't know why. Because like the first watch I was just kind of going like, I'm glad you guys feel alright. Why am I still seeing you? Why? 5 minutes have kind of passed after like I thought this was going to end. It's just kind of it's just keeping on going. Like what's going? You better not. You better fucking not. And then all the ghost stuff happens again. I was like, fuck's sake. Just yeah. But,
I feel like there was a chance for a sequel being, if they left the house but they left the TV inside and the TV flickered on for static, I'll be like, oh right, yeah, there's a chance for sequel being. But like, they didn't do that. They fucked it up completely. So the house is now, I don't know what's happened to the house. It's all destroyed. It's all disappeared into the weird vortex. And it ends off with the joke of him taking the TV outside of the motel. And I was like, did you purposely do that just for a shit punchline? I think they did do that on purposely for a shit punchline. But I was like, yeah, this movie could have ended 10 minutes earlier than it did. Yeah.
It is kind of weird. But I think, I suppose in a way what makes it worse as well is like all the stuff that happens in those last 20 minutes you could have just put at any other point in the film and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely. There was definitely room to have swimming pool full of corpses. That's the only one I can even think. There was definitely room to be chucking her around like the room. Like definitely room for the creepy clown to be strangling someone. Like
Yeah, they could have been repurposed further on.
Yeah, you didn't have to fuck this up. You could have just this could have all just been part of the horror, but yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I was This was deeply disappointing because it was so good. It was so good for like an hour and a half, and I was like, yeah, this will be getting like a 10 from me. Like this is pretty great. And then yeah, just chucked itself down the stairs. I don't know why.
Oh man, Ben, you nearly got 10s from Alec.
You are muted.
Oh, I was going to say, when's that ever happened in the past? It's a rarity.
And still is.
Yeah, and will always be.
Just they are so close.
It was a 10. Now it's a 6.
7.
I haven't actually looked. I was just making an Alec-based guess.
7. Anyone not done a favourite scene? I take it Emmanuel's died. Oh no, there he is.
He lives.
Another
Another good film.
Oh, wait, what film is that?
Oh no, I've got the name wrong. Never mind. I'm half asleep.
Poltergeist.
No, I'm thinking of They Live, not He Lives.
David.
They Live.
Oh.
Yeah, they're
David.
here.
David,
It's
I'm
not
afraid.
called He Lives, it's called David.
I think it's kind of hard because I know I'll say favorite moments and stuff throughout the film because I can't really pick one. Again, similar to Pat, but just you got the madness at the end. I think with them screaming at each other, I think that was just the culmination of what the crap is going on. But this is hilarious. The moment where he realizes on the hill with his boss, crap, that's why we've been having all these problems. I can't like strangle him now. That was good. It was really nice just them playing with each other and chilling out. Right at the beginning of the film. Like the kids have gone to bed and they're just chilling with each other. And stuff like that was really nice. When the mom, despite everything happening, because obviously she went to go get help because she knew she needed some help. But after almost drowning in the pool, like she's like, I'm getting and like I'm getting back in her house. I'm like like she might be questionable at certain times, but she's nothing but persistent. And that was endearing. That was cool. It was like, yes, go rage. Get your kids. Like don't hold back. Yeah, I think those are my favorite moments.
Cool. Any parting thoughts for Poltergeist?
It's good.
Nearly.
I'm
Could have been
happy
good.
that we've got the whole of the trilogy in film club now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a nice little. I think it's nice that it's taken us a while as well.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
each
been
of us
done
have
by
done it.
and it's been done by
And
three
we've
different
done it
people.
roughly in order.
Yeah.
I'm glad you picked it. This was interesting.
Yeah. It's a great one piece of film history,
Yeah.
and a good underrated Spielberg classic. Whether or not you agree with that remains to be seen. But yeah, it's a good part of his evolution as a director.
Allegedly.
Ray momentarily evolved into Toby Hooper. Evolved straight back again after he realised he was being a bit silly. And then decided to do Ready Player One, which was ill-advised at best.
Which was unbiased.
Ill-advised.
Unbiased. I was like, yeah.
Okay, no more parting thoughts then.
Nope.
No.
So yeah, let's
Super
skip Pat's film and just move on to.
my film. Whee.
Thanks again for picking it, because I never would have seen it otherwise.
Where were you when I asked for parting thoughts? You missed the
I
boat.
was right here. Nah, I never missed the boat.
Yeah, ignoring that it doesn't count.
We just needed a bigger boat.
Slash sentient truck. I mean slut. I mean truck.
Great Scott.
The Remus
Rob Bailey
Spielberg directed that as well, actually.
That wouldn't shock me either.
Because it's shit. Ooh.
Oh. Don't forget, we haven't had a sentient truck film in film club yet, so.
Yeah.
So you say.
That's
The
your
bending-
opinion, young man.
This is where Ben picks Transformers next.
Yeah, I thought so. If he does,
The
that'll be
ultimate
a
sentient truck.
No,
To be
just
honest, I have
pick
been tempted to pick
cars.
Maximum Overdrive. But
Oh.
No, just pick cars.
Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
don't
You
think
got
I
some
will.
sentient trucks in that.
That's going to have to be someone else. I'm not taking that one.
I know Pat wants to pick cars.
It's
I remember going to the cinema for that one, and my sister, who was quite young, was like, "Can we go home?" She was probably like at her like most easily impressed, and she was like, "Nah, bored of this."
I love that film.
She was like 7. Actually, wait, what? No, actually, this might be better. What year did Cars come out?
2000 and something.
Excellent. Okay. Doesn't help me at all.
No, you got a 23-year window.
6. She was 6 years old. She was not impressed by Cars.
That's even better if you don't know it's a film that you're talking about.
Right, Pat, what you picking? Come on.
So, I think it's time to scratch a Marvel itch this week. It's the second Marvel film before the MCU craze. I'm picking Blade.
Oh,
Some motherfuckers on it. I was gonna escape up.
That's not what I was expecting, I guess.
It can be seen on Apple TV, Amazon Prime, all the usual. I'll be honest, I had 2 exclusive Apple TV picks lined up, and I was like, I'll save them for another day.
I can't think of any Apple TV exclusives other than Coda.
Wait.
One is that Denzel Washington one.
Oh,
Spielberg play. Spielberg play?
Spielberg
Shakespeare
play.
play. Sorry, I've got Spielberg in my head.
Oh man,
Shakespeare
Spielberg. He's even writing Shakespeare plays.
Wait,
He's a man of many talents.
I know that it's supposed to be part of Marvel, but is it on Disney Plus or is it not?
No, it's not
Nah.
on Disney Plus.
Okay.
To be
Yeah, it's
fair,
before. It's when Marvel sold the rights to like a million different studios, and I can't remember what
Yeah.
Blade was.
I
Like
think it's a new
Miramax.
line, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. New Line, which is Warner Brothers, which is
Yeah.
mad. Think about it that way.
I would respect the absolute balls off Disney for doing Blade. Just the bit with the blood and the sprinklers on that. So fair enough.
But we get into film club before the remake comes out.
If the
Wait, there's a remake? What the fuck?
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
there's really not a time limit on that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a while.
At the moment, it's sitting at 2025, isn't it?
Yeah, didn't they scrap it and start again recently?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they scrapped the script from a page one rewrite and wanted to redo it.
They
I think
gave it-
Mahershala Ali is involved in the rewriting of it as well.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with it. He was like, "Fuck this! If this isn't rewritten, I'm not going to be in it." Basically.
honestly, it's a fucking hero.
I mean, like he kind of like remade it. You know how they had a remake of a remake of a remake. They kind of remade Blade as much as they remade Spider-Man. I'm like, okay, I guess that should work. Because we all know Spider-Man's origin story. What is Blade's origin story?
He sharpens his blade.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. He kills that part. I don't know. Alright.
This is our first Wesley Snipes film, isn't it?
I think so.
You know what this means, Pat?
What's that?
Well, Alec is your next pick, right? It's after this one, I should say. So therefore, he could pick Blade 2, directed by Guillermo del Toro.
That is true.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that could actually work. That could actually work in this flavor. I think I watched Blade. I actually remember watching Blade 2. I can't remember watching Blade 2 recently.
Less said about Blade 3, though.
Blade 3 isn't a great film, but I actually find it quite amusing.
Yeah. Well, Alex Hero's in it, so it's worth watching for that.
Oh yeah, I might pick that one day then. The Blade film with Triple H and Ryan Reynolds in it.
Oh, fucking hell. I forgot
And when Dracula says, "Blade, are you ready to die?" I was born
Wait,
ready,
that's the
motherfucker.
point. So, seeing as you marked Interview with the Vampire down for Impact because of a loose connection with Twilight, does that mean we can obliterate this because of its connection with Deadpool?
Oh no.
Oh, actually, yeah. That's,
Do what you want,
I'm voting yes.
because I'm just in it for the enjoyment. I just want to watch it again.
okay.
It's been a long time since I watched it, actually. Yeah.
And I've long given up from winning on Film Club because Rob seems to always get high scores.
You nearly won the whole year last year.
Nearly. That's like saying Man United nearly finished second.
Or
It's not
Poltergeist
good
is nearly a good
That's-
film.
But
you-
it's more
still-
like Liverpool, to be fair, because the points you got last year would have set a new record if I didn't get 3 more in the same year.
So you're saying you
Well,
still won,
you-
even when Pat did his best. That's not really encouraging.
you know, as the saying goes, if my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bike.
And if Poltergeist had ended where it was supposed to end, it would have been good.
Oh,
Wait, I just realised that the chat or the call name is called Poltergeist.
Oh yeah.
Did you do that on purpose? I just clicked on the nose there. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I was writing Poltergeist in it. I don't know. I suppose the idea of writing Goose instead just took me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the Top Gun influence.
Top Goose and his friend Tom Cruise. Goose and Cruise.
Yeah.
I'm going to head off.
Nope. The manual's just fucking gone.
Oh god.
No, you guys are taking too long. Bye.
Can't do it on this low energy.
Right, I might go and watch Blade because I've got to sleep downstairs tonight because I have COVID.
Oh man.
Ah, yes. Sorry about that.
Motherfucker. What?
Oh, also, Rob. I would recommend you watching Five Nights at Freddy's because they.
Oh, did you
use,
like it?
It wasn't bad.
Oh,
But,
shit.
they used practical effects.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh, that's
Which is
interesting.
pretty cool.
That's
It's very
hard.
much a young person's horror.
Yeah.
Um,
To be fair, I was thinking of watching it this week, but then this happened. But if it's still out next week, then I'll probably go and see it.
well, it only came out Wednesday, and it's by all accounts it's doing quite well. So
Yeah, audience.
Well, it's the only real like Halloween film that's out this year, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, that has an audience. I mean, if you don't count Exorcist Believer or Saw X.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it's the only
people
one
should-
that's come out specifically for Halloween.
There is one coming out soon called Thanksgiving, which looks pretty cool.
Um,
But it's Eli Roth, so it might be very over the top.
oh, yeah. That's
Violent.
Okay.
Because as soon as it came up as from the director of Hostel, I was like, oh fucking hell. Like, Hostel went way over. Bless
Who
you,
was that?
Simon.
You
I can
can
tell
see
by the echo.
Simon's
thought
that-
COVID.
I thought that was God.
I
Oh,
know.
So the echo is a bit weird with the AirPods. So yeah. All right, but in any case, instead of catching a cold, I'm gonna catch some Z's. I'll talk to you guys next time. Yeah.
Yeah, see you later, man.
See you in a
Good
bit.
night, sir.
See you guys later.